thank you all for all your comments for my last video. And I think that the most popular suggestion was for language history, so I'm definitely going to start a series on that. But before I do, I want to talk about how I joined the Hetalia fandom, and I hope you enjoy this video. So this is just a basic rundown of my story. I'll go over my first impressions and the first episode I watched and my experience being a Hetalia fan and why I started this channel. So I wasn't originally an anime fan. As some of you may know, I am a Korean American, so I wasn't really exposed to a lot of Japanese media. But when I was in college, I was like, okay, I need to start expanding my horizons. And I started with rewatching a movie that I watched in my art class in high school, and it was called Summer Wars. And I remember really loving that movie, so I rented it again and watched it. And I even watched the bonus features and saw some of the commercials at the end. And I was like, okay, I'm going to check out these animes. And one of the commercials was actually about Black Butler. So I started watching that because I was a huge fan of like Victorian novels. In fact, the very first Victorian novel I've read was Oliver Twist. And so I wanted to see that in anime form, and I really enjoyed it. And I'm still reading the manga right now. And then my sister's professor actually suggested the Ouran High School Host Club anime, and I still remember that very fondly. And since I wasn't familiar with anime tropes, so I watched it and I didn't know that it was like parodying everything that's in other animes, but it was still fun to watch it. And so how I got into Italia was actually pretty interesting. So in at first, I kind of just saw Italians on YouTube, and they would just like, okay, this was during like a really bad time during the Italia fandom, from what I understand, because I actually joined it late, and so this is when that was around 2015 or so, and I was just looking at other anime fan videos and stuff, and every single video there would be at least one crazy Italia fan. Yeah, so yeah, I was really frustrated with the Hetalia fandom. Look at that, like Stitch. And then I was just browsing through the internet. I got to the Funimation website and was checking out different animes there because that was when Funimation was actually free. And I came across this episode from Hetalia. Yeah, America's Cleaning of the Storage. I didn't start from episode one. I actually came across this episode. And this is actually one of the more serious episodes of the show if you're really familiar with it. And I was so moved by how they portrayed England and America's relationship and how the revolution went between them. And I know some people think that America was kind of portrayed like a brat, but for me, I thought it was really poignant and it was really on point as far as like the metaphors were concerned. And I didn't think he came off like a brat at all, especially since I'm really familiar with this history. It didn't feel like they were making a joke out of it. It was really serious. Yeah, this scene really hit me too. So then I started binging the show like crazy, especially since like each episode is like only 5 minutes. So I was like zooming through them, and some of my favorites that I initially thought was super cool was the German simulation video. If you haven't watched it, check it out on YouTube. It's still there. But that was so hilarious. And then the first meeting of the Allies. I mean, I'm actually really partial to the America character, so seeing him like talk about like the different strategies that they're gonna use and like lampshading the fact that he's gonna join them late and act like the huge hero at the end was super hilarious. The World Conference was also really funny because I'm actually a really huge like flag fanatic, so I don't even need a subtitle to know which country is speaking during that World Conference. So I was like, this is so funny. They're like all the stereotypes are there, and like yeah, it's offensive, but like it's a parody. So I thought it was so hilarious. Italy's pasta at the end of that video was so funny too. And then China is also one of my favorite characters, even though my personal opinions about China currently are a little different from my opinions about the character, but the character is so funny, and I definitely have a huge respect for the culture and civilization. And so I'm saying, because I'm the oldest, I'm gonna take over the world. It was so funny. And then I really liked the background music, and not just the Eastern style, but like how they would use different country styles whenever a country would show up. And so you would also get that auditory cue of like, oh, that's France, that's the why that you have that accordion playing in the background, or that's Italy, that's why you're hearing like the more, fiddly sounds, or that's Austria because you can hear Mozart in the background, or that's Spain because you can hear guitar, or that's Japan when the cherry blossoms show up because then you can hear the Goto in the background. And same thing with like China when he would show up, like the scene when he meets Japan for the first time in the bamboo forest scene, and you can hear that Chinese-esque music in the background. It was so on point. And I love cats. So you can see that even put a cat chef on here. So Nicatalia is also one of my favorites. Mochi Talia too, because I like eating mochi. I like the idea of them bouncing around, and I still love that Germany is a cube instead of the traditional like mochi shape. And then the character songs, I haven't listened to them in a while, but like my favorite character songs are actually, I think China songs are one of my favorites, and I also like Austria's version of Marukai to Chikyu, but I can't think of anything else that on the top of my head right now. And there's so much more to the show, like all the different like historical moments, stuff that I already knew, or even stuff that I like end up learning from the show. So I already knew about the defenestration of Prague, so when Austria threw out Italy from the window, I was like, yep, that's that moment. While other times I go like, oh, I didn't know that happened. Especially like more of the recent history, like when France asked England to marry him. I didn't know about that because it happened in 1956, and American history classes always like end at World War II, so I didn't know about that. So I learned it from the show. Of course, there's always like the bad side of this anime. I know I talked about it a little bit in some of my comments, but the idea that it's about World War II. You see the Axis powers, and you see the things that they do, and they kind of lampshade the things that happen, but it just felt inadequate. And for me, as a Korean American, the portrayal of Japan was really difficult for me, and part of it was because Japan. I'm gonna make it clear now that Japan is actually one of my favorite characters on the show, but considering like the Japanese war crimes against both Korea and China and many other places, including Australia, American POWs, Vietnam, Philippines. Like, there's so many things that the Japanese did wrong that they still haven't gotten justice for. And so, like, just seeing like World War II Japan with the uniform and the imperialist flag, it's just the imagery, that stuff that I usually am not comfortable with. So, if you want to do more, I can talk more about it in another video. I can make a whole video about it. But that was difficult for me to get through. And also, like, it's made by a Japanese creator, so it's like, okay, is he like, justifying their actions? Is he like making light of their actions? And ultimately, I think no, he's very critical of Japan's actions during this time. But still, I was like, okay, I'm still not gonna be telling my family that I watched this because they're not gonna understand that this isn't a pro-Japanese thing. But I ended up it's just like like it's a good show. It's funny. The portrayal of the European countries are always really funny and accurate. Um, and also like life shouldn't be taken so seriously. Like I feel like nowadays people are just so like, sensitive, and I think it's fine to like see the comedy in things. And yeah, there's like dark histories for like every single country in the world, and Hetalia does a good job addressing those things actually. But at the same time, like let's have fun with it. Let's move on. Let's start anew, and but also remembering what happened. So then, how did I start this YouTube channel? I am a huge lover of languages, even before I watched Hetalia. And I thought, okay, I don't know how exactly, because it's been so long, but I think I was like, okay, I really like languages. I really like Hetalia. So then I can just combine the two and make these edits for YouTube. And I think I did see a couple of edits already that exist on YouTube, and I was like, oh, that's really nice and cool, but I think I can do it better by actually putting the language captions on the pictures so that people can actually learn from that, and putting the English subtitles so people can know what they're actually saying. And then if it's like in a writing system that's not Roman or Latin, and just putting the romanization so that people can like actually follow along and learn the language and the words. I know some of you just like listen to the videos and just enjoy it, but and that's fine. But if you're really interested in like learning or picking up different words and languages, my videos have those tools so that you can actually do that. So that's the end of my video, and I thank you so much for listening to my story. These are my socials, and I hope you subscribe. I'm going to continue making multi-language edits. As I said, I'm really passionate about that kind of thing, but I'll also be making original content from now on, and I hope you enjoy all the videos that I make, and please make any comments for how I can improve or what you like, and have a good day.